It was a call to the control room, a report of a relatively low-level domestic dispute between a male and a female around child access. It was which quickly descended into a male taking a terminally ill 2-year-old child effectively hostage in a prominent city centre coffee shop. He'd taken the child into his arms, armed himself with a number of weapons.
I came down to the scene and I went inside the cafe, and I spoke with both the male and the female and tried to resolve it as quickly and as amicably as possible. It became quite apparent that that wasn't going to happen. At that point, I've supported the mother, who's without her very young baby.
So the incident came in early afternoon, hundreds of people walking down Friar Lane, Wheelergate onto the Market Square, in full open view of this male with the young child. And that's the first thing we needed to address. So the first thing we did is get a scene on at the top of Friar Lane, which is a busy bus route, and obviously close off Wheelergate as well to stop people walking in. We brought the scene across behind you on the Market Square, but people were then standing on the Market Square trying to film.
When I arrived on the scene, it was quite clear to me that this situation was going to be a prolonged situation. The options that we had in terms of freeing the child were very limited, and it was always going to come down to negotiation with the male.
You're aware that it's an incredibly delicate young child that's in the middle of this, and that from a policing and personal point of view, you want to ensure the best you can no harm comes to that child.
Throughout, he'd held various weapons towards this child's head. He had a fork at one point. He put that down and replaced that with a sharpened pencil, which sounds quite innocuous, but when that's pointed at a 2-year-old's head, and we've got somebody that's increasingly aggressive and agitated, that weapon could cause that child some serious harm. As we stood there and saw this terminally ill child in the male's arms, her intravenous feeding tube had been removed, she'd had a number of fits. We knew from medical records that she had a number of life limiting conditions. I genuinely, and I wasn't the only one, believe that we could see this child dying in front of our eyes. There was no, that's no exaggeration to say that we genuinely thought we could see a child die in front of our eyes. It was key that all the officers in Costa remained calm. There was a lot of officers there that had young children, so emotions were running high. But I was steadfast in my opinion that an opportunity would present itself, and when it did come, that we had to take it decisively. And that opportunity came when he dropped the pencil that he had pointing at the child's head, and the pencil fell to the floor, and he looked to the floor to try and recover the pencil that had fallen to the floor, and at that time was his only weapon that he had. And in doing so, he took himself off balance and slightly off guard, and in unison all the officers looked at each other, and we saw that after 6 hours negotiating with him, this was the opportunity that we'd been waiting for, and we decided to go hands-on with him. And in total, I think there was about 5 officers that grabbed his various parts of his body, his arms, his legs, his shoulders, his hair. He had long, greasy hair. One officer took hold of his hair, and we managed to safely recover the child from his grip.
I'm incredibly proud to be recognised as Police Officer 2020. Obviously, I never set out for that to happen. It's to a degree luck of the draw of the incidents I've attended and the recognition that's come from that.
My response officers are the ones that are turning out to incidents at all hours of the day and night, turning out to speak to vulnerable people. I always tell my officers that often when people ring 999, there's nobody else to turn to. It's only them.
Thanks for watching Crimewatch UK. Please support our channel by subscribing, liking and maybe a comment. Don't forget to press the notification bell to keep up to date with daily content.